go to a specific site and read more about it. And I just want to remind everybody also that we will be attaching a link of the survey form. Please take time to answer that so that we would know what topics you would like us to discuss in the future. Okay, so let's discuss the first thing that restaurants have to quickly change and adapt to the needs of the market, which is menus and their menus and operations, since we know this is a blueprint, of any restaurant. So we will be showing you examples from different kinds of operators, from hotels, fine dining establishments, fast casual dining, quick service restaurants. And Chef Eric, Singapore is quite similar to Dubai in terms of the type of establishments and dining behaviors. Kindly take us through what you have been seeing in your market.
Sure. All right. Next slide. Yep. So I think competition rises during COVID. I think this is a very common sight across different markets, and many operators are forced to think out the box for new revenues stream. And I think one of the most common change in operation we have seen is out of home to in your home. Right. So this is how it works. And I think you realize that almost every single food vendors are pivoting their business towards this direction. Some are market leaders, some are trendsetters, and some are just very good followers. All right, so I have a few examples here. I'll bring you through. The first one is you can see at the top left is a joint called Paradise Dynasty. They're actually a Chinese restaurant. I think Chinese restaurant is one suffered the most hit during COVID. They used to sell dim sum, and recently they launched this very fantastic DIY dumpling kit where family could bond over it. They can make dumpling together. It's definitely fun, engaging, and also Instagram worthy. Look at the fabulous color over there. And one of the pain point, right, or as a home diner, ordering dim sum or dumpling, by the time you reach your house, it's a little soggy, it's a little cold. And this basically solves all the problem, right? So this is a DIY kit for your house. And the other example is on the top right, which is a bubble tea, right? Bubble tea kit. Singaporeans love bubble tea, right? So this brand Liho actually launched a DIY bubble tea kit. Each kit can serve up to 15 to 20 portion. And I think it's not only fun and engaging. Imagine you have a craving in the middle of the night. You can do it as and when you want. Just whip it out. It's easy. And on the operator side, okay, think about it as a business owner. You used to sell cups by cups, all right, multiple transactions. Now you sell 15 to 20 cups in one transaction. Isn't it great? And it also solves the problem of the diners. So it's something that it brings value to both parties. All right. So apart from all these examples, you can look at the bottom. You realize that actually across restaurant, you see non-traditional source of good meat and seafood has emerged as well, right? Steakhouse and sushi bar are offering their ingredients for home order as well. The idea here is not to make a huge profit out of all the ingredient costs, but I think it's about keeping your inventory fresh. Imagine you're a sushi restaurant or you're serving sashimi, airflow sashimi. You just want to keep it going, make it fresh, and it's something that worthwhile to try, right? So these are a few examples. We move on. Next slide. Yep. So and also the concept of customizing or family bundles. A lot of operators actually tweak their menu to suit the food delivery business. Most of them retain 30 to 40% of their total menu. Normally they go through their data. These are the popular one, the best seller. They try to keep it. And also just want to share a good data or insights I gathered from a food delivery platform. They realized that home diners are more inclined to order signature dish or best seller. You can see there's a lot of banners of new dishes, but people tend to miss it. It's a very different approach here. Compared to dining in, all right? When you're dining in, you can look at the table next to you, can smell it. You tend to be attracted to order it. But at home, you are just going through images, so it's very different. So stick to your best seller or your signature dishes, make it optimized for food delivery, it will help. And also, so the concept of whether to do a la carte or family bundle, right? Again, data and insight shows that there's typically two types of order, distinct home diners. One will be the one, those clearly they know what they want. They know the brand very well. They just go straight to it. They just order it. Customized or a la carte menu definitely suit them. But there's the other kind, which is the indecisive, spoiled for choice, or they have very big family feed type. And those family or party set will definitely address that for them. There's no right or wrong to go either way, End of the day, you need to look at your operation, whether your operation is able to support that kind of menu offering. All right. I know that market is opening. Some of you may be considering whether should I open up my full menu. My advice is do not rush to it. Your staff will need to transit progressively. All right. You don't want to add on complexity and also stress your staff out. So this is the advice. Next slide.
Right. So your next example is pretty interesting because Odette is a Michelin star restaurant, and we've been wondering, how, and this restaurant segment has been greatly affected. And Odette, serving modern French cuisine, which is deemed not, it's not deemed for takeaway or delivery. So it's really interesting to see what they've been doing.
Yeah, like Joe has shared, Odette is a fine restaurant with a Michelin star, right? So I was also wondering, what else can they do, So actually they are very clever. They pivot the business and they decided to break out the usual menu D. All right, you can look at the example here. Now you can order individual costs you want, I think this approach is really targeted at the mass audience. All right, imagine you want to try, either there's a long queue or the price is too expensive, you didn't make up your mind. Now is your best chance, pick and choose what you really want to try. Try it, this is your best time. So some advice here to talk about delivery menu planning. All right, simplifying of the menu definitely help to reduce costs and prep time, and also reducing waste. Right, so shorter menu helps as well, because you don't want to get spoil your customer with so many choices, and it take longer time to navigate and place order. Right, so this is something that you want to take note. In terms of menu planning, make sure that you need to deliver great taste, and the look of it, taking into consideration of the handling by delivery partners. All right, so it's not a smooth journey, definitely. It's very different from a restaurant service, so just have that in mind. And also, effective menu design will definitely increase order and repurchase rate. That's where you want to go towards, all right, repurchasing rates. Okay, the other number here on the right-hand side, you can see that it's actually a dumpling, it's a dumpling set, nicely in the box. What I want to share is about festival, all right? In different country, different region, there's lots of festival. Home diners, okay, are always looking for good reason to celebrate at home, or they want to give, sending some gift to your friends. So this is also another new revenue stream that you can consider, packing your homemade jams, butter, or breads, and packing it in a nice gift set. Right. So this is also something to share. All right. Okay. So next slide. Yep.
So yeah, a hotel. So this is a great hotel example.
Yep. Yep. Meal kits. Meal kits is not common. It's not very very rare. Now recently, you can see that there's a lot of getting a lot of traction and attention, both on social media. People are bragging about it. Over here on the left-hand side, we have Open Farm Community. They are one of the early adopters of meal kits. All right. So they are doing something different, more progressive. They are offering mise en place or prep ingredient meal kits instead of a finished product, right? So the advantage here is like home diners can purchase, they can play chefs, a lot of chefs want to be inspired to be a chef. This is the best chance, all right? They can add on their own ingredients, spice it up and make it their own signature dish with that kind of soup, all right? And apart from food item, think about beverages, they're offering mocktails or cocktails kit too. So it's good news for the bartender wannabe. This is your time to concoct your drink for your loved one. And also
we see a lot of restaurants, their beverage sales have suffered because no one's, ordering drinks, only food.
Yep. And beverage is something that to look in, because once you pack in a Ziploc bag or you put in a vacuum pack, no matter how hot you throw, it will not spill. All right, it's all contact. All right. Next, we can look at the one on the right hand side is Fairmont Singapore. They also do meal kits, right? They join in the bandwagon. Is the big market, a new market. But what they do differently is they have a hydroponic salad bundling with their own they grown it in their own garden. So it's a really good chance to do some brand building over here. All right, and they have different meal kits for different restaurants within the hotel. So diner can get a chance to taste all the different dishes within the restaurant group or hotel groups at their own comfort. All right. So I think what I want to share here is about people are for the new normal, people are going to spend much more time at home, right? So if you are still considering whether should you focus on this or not, I think the statistics that shows that even with market opening up, people are going to spend more time at home. So it's something to think about. Yeah, so this is Sherry from Singapore.
Okay, so moving on to the Philippines, also a lot of fine dining establishments have switched their menus, like here, one of the popular fine dining restaurants, which is Gallery by Chele. Chef Ken, can you take us through this example?
Yeah, sure. Well, since the Philippines is probably one of the countries with the longest lockdown period, we saw an emergence of home-based food businesses during the first month. Restaurants found their way back in the market through communities and messagings like Viber, offering food deliveries and pickups. Our operators became active on social media as well, showing their customers how to prepare, package, and deliver their food while maintaining health and sanitation protocols. Most establishments will also be using e-tablets and e-kiosks to promote contactless ordering, thereby lessening the service staff needed. Now, fine dining chefs shifted from regular tasting menus to serving comfort food while staying true to their cause for environmental sustainability. One of these examples is Gallery by Chele, which was among the first to do this, deconstructing a dish and keeping the freshness during delivery and providing instructions on how to put them together. Another example would be Test Kitchen, by our good friend Josh. He's offering meal boxes now with QR codes that, when you scan it, it automatically brings you to a video on their YouTube account. The video will show you how to finish the dish you ordered. So, for example, in this case, you ordered a New York strip steak. So this comes with it's pre-cooked in a vac bag with mashed potatoes and veg on the side. And then this video will then show you how to pan fry the steak last minute and reheat the side dishes, which is kind of cool. It's a very interactive way of experiencing restaurant food at home again. So
I like this example. It's very also inspired by retail, right? When you pass through the supermarket, you scan through a QR code and you find out more about the product. So it's something that restaurants can do the same, like take advantage of this technology.
Yeah. Everyone's actually doing these meal kits now. I think it's very, very accessible nowadays, and it's a good way of trying to also become the chef in you. Like trying to be a chef at home, something like this. So like Filipinos, we are all basically composed of not just our immediate family but also our extended family. So delivery menus expanded to cater to this market, giving strong focus on local cuisine, and bestsellers or dishes that go well together. Some, on the other hand, prompted ready-to-cook dishes, also in bundles or party sizes. A very popular restaurant in Cebu, for example, Rico's, they came out with frozen food packs that you can buy from frozen food sections of supermarkets, big supermarkets, even to the point of ramen restaurants taking a big leap by making their limited menu available for takeout. So it's interesting how these establishments really develop their uniqueness in how customers go through the ordering, delivery, and consuming process. So the primary concern, I guess, is to be able to deliver the food, as fresh as possible, making sure you observe the proper sanitation protocols at all times. Like, for example, food service restaurants like Manam even, have partnered with 7-Eleven and co-branded their
Mhm.
dishes, making them available any time of the day. So that's really amazing.
Yeah. And this particular example gained a lot of attention on social media. Like people cannot believe that they found, Jollibee chicken in the supermarkets, or Manam sisig in 7-Eleven. So it also, was a lot of marketing exposure for the company as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think this is the way to go now. Everyone's doing it. So, it's actually very exciting also for the consumers, because, there's so much choices nowadays, not like before. You just go, for example,
Right.
7, it's very limited. Now, sky's the limit. You
Yeah.
could, from dumplings to Filipino food to sandwiches, you name it. No, it's all there.
Yeah. So I just wanted to insert an example here from the US. Hi, Anav. So this is a website that is dedicated to establishments in Nashville. So when you click on their site, the first page lists down all the local restaurants with a tab telling you what you need to do if you want to dine in, take out, or which provider to call for delivery. And they also indicate if the restaurant is doing curbside pickup. And I just read yesterday that now a lot of restaurants are also doing curbside dining. It's just like back in the 70s, when a waiter or a waitress would roll up to the side of your car and serve you food. So as you can see from this example, it's very organized, and it helps restaurants to answer inquiries faster, especially those who are operating with a very limited staff. So let's take a look at Australia. I understand that they have opened quite way ahead of us. So if you skim through articles, chefs and owners have been sharing a lot of their reopening experiences. Chef Andrew?
Yes, hey, Joanne. So, this is some great research that's been done by our good friend Cecil at Food Industry Foresight. And I think the sort of main two things to look at are down the bottom there, offering takeaway. So a huge amount of operators have had to, that word pivot their business and offering takeaway. So takeaway is sort of done in two ways. And you might see at the bottom there, 17% are offering a delivery service, which are arranged themselves, which is quite high. So we know there's sort of some big operators around the world, and they can take between 30 and 30% commission with these big sort of takeaway platforms. So you're seeing a lot of businesses that are actually pivoting and also employing staff that may have been laid off before and redeploying them as delivery drivers. So there's a large amount of obviously business that are offering takeaway. And then another great point is a reduced menu. So we know in sort of pubs and clubs, there's 80% of sales come from sort of 20% of the menu. So there's a real focus on those core menu items and also to reduce the menu size. So there's going to be less staff, less qualified chefs in operations. So what they need is products that can go across the menu and be very versatile. And also they want sort of core menu items. So sort of cut down that low sort of hanging fruit. So to make it simpler for everyone to operate. So also another focus on sort of from suppliers there. So we see sort of change suppliers and also the needs or the sort of the want to sort of buy from local suppliers. So and the next slide is from Maryvale. So Maryvale is a leading sort of a pub and restaurant group in Australia. And what they did, they sort of created their own delivery system. So they didn't want to go with one of the big sort of groups. So they sort of shut down for a number of weeks, and then they created their own sort of delivery. So that was in sort of a few ways. It was by offering signature dishes from their leading restaurants. So they didn't offer a full menu, not a full a la carte menu. They offered signature dishes from certain. They also delivered produce. So they deliver fresh produce to your house. And then, Joanne, your favorite, they would also deliver a cocktail, which I can give you my address because I'd love one right now in Australia, or anyone else in Australia. Thanks for joining in. So that's sort of what the restaurants are doing, and they need to offer a point of difference. So Maryvale really led from the front in terms of this. Okay, so next slide is from the grounds. So the grounds of Alexandria. So this is sort of something that we've seen with also Eric and Ken sort of show. So it's these sort of family meals. So so instead of offering that sort of one or individual meals, they've been offering sort of that family size sort of meal. So meal kits in Australia, I think they've been a thing for the fine dining restaurants, but to be honest, I don't think it's something that'll sort of stay in Australia because I think Australians, maybe like myself, a bit lazy. We whole day at work or in the kitchen, we sort of want to come home and have a meal that's sort of ready. We don't have to sort of cook it up ourselves. So the grounds of Alexandria have created sort of 100 groceries and also these family shops. So quite popular as well. Oh, this is a great example, I think you shared, Joanne, from Chocho San. So this is sort of the more fine dining sort of end. So it's talking about a revamped menu. So you can't really offer a sort of a full menu, a la carte menu takeaway. So you might either see this as a sit-in, where it's a sort of banquet meal or banquet sort of setting, or a revamped menu that's suitable for online. So and takeaway options. So this is from Chocho San.
This was pretty interesting, Andrew, but I know things have changed, but I think a lot of countries can benefit from this because we are all starting at a very limited seating capacity and
So,
undergone this.
Yeah, correct. So I guess what we sort of started with was sort of 10 seats inside, and now we're at sort of 20 and actually now at 50. But if you've only got sort of 10 seats inside, you obviously still need to operate sort of that takeaway and delivery option as well. But it's also shorter sitting. So, this is also credit card booking. So if there's any no-shows, obviously going to lose your money. So it's about taking credit card sort of deposits. And it's also doing that quick turnaround. So if you've only got 10 seats inside for a breakfast or a brunch on a weekend, you sort of want to limit it to maybe 30 or 45 minutes per sitting. So you can turn over as many sort of sittings as possible. So
it's not bad news, right, Andrew? And this is a great example of somebody taking advantage of the limited seating mandate.
Yeah, correct. So this is also about hiring the whole venue out as well. So it might be that sort of menu. So as I sort of said, to open up a la carte dining for many restaurants is not sort of is not possible because of the limited seating and the 4 square meter rule. They can't open up for a full a la carte menu. So it's about up to 10 or maybe now 20 people or 50 people hiring out the whole venues for a private experience. And when people have been in lockdown for so long, this type of experience is something that many people will pay for and also will want. So it's a great sort of personalized experience with a great sort of food matching and wine matching in a venue.
Right. So that's our first topic for today. So just want to summarize some of the key takeouts. So as you've been hearing, food safety is really a non-negotiable, not only for the safety of your customers, but also for your staff. So like with the last example that Andrew has shared, we need to maximize limitations. We need to be creative with the limited seating guidelines that was imposed and go contactless as much as possible. Partnerships, just like the Philippine example, a lot of, especially if your restaurant has a specialty, we need to take advantage of that novelty and partner with a third-party provider to expand your reach. And out-of-home kits. So it looks like this part of your business is here to stay for a while. So there has been a lot of polls being done, although, a lot of restaurants have reopened. Still, a lot of customers are still wary of, bringing out their entire families to eat. So it would be good to focus on making this part of your operations more efficient, safe, and spend resource to market them. And we need to offer options to customize, just like what Eric has mentioned. Family bundles is, indeed more profitable for us. It makes sense, for us to have work for staff to do. The 7th point is connecting to point number 4 is e-commerce has served many brands well during this time. And it's really good to explore or leverage on their reach and delivery systems. And lastly, all chefs have mentioned this, focus on the bestsellers, streamline your menu. And this would be a great help in managing your cash flow because you have a fewer and more efficient inventory. So moving on to our next topic, which is delivery. So UFS has been doing global surveys on what topic that needs more focus on, and delivery was oftentimes mentioned. And for many establishments, especially for hotels and restaurants, this pandemic has forced them to go into delivery for the very first time. So if we look at social media, we have seen so many ads on deliveries, and it's really important for establishments to stand out and to make a viewer swipe up and click to check on what you have to offer. So Chef Eric, the delivery system in both our countries, in UAE and Singapore, is quite very efficient. And it's very fortunate for us that that we have a lot of choices in terms of food and retail products. So please tell us what has caught your eye in Singapore.
All right, so you can see from the header is from, I mentioned here, is from food service to food as a service. All right, so this is one of the my favorite question to when I meet any chef or industry owners. I love to ask them, what service do you provide other than food? Right? So the question is about, do you think that diners prefer good food or good service or both? All right. So I think in the new normal, the question is to consider is should we or can we move away from cook to order service, right? So with lots of restriction or isolation requirement means that family will need to feed more people at home more than usual, right? So I have here two examples. You can look at Fresher and Grains, all right? They are in actual fact, they don't own any restaurant front at all, all right? They are functioning from a production kitchen, relying on 100% on virtual presence, all right? So it's a very different ball game here. What they are offering, okay, weekly supply of chilled or frozen packed meals, and the same thing, mise en place boxes. You may think that it's just like a regular meal subscription business model, right? But something is different here. The good thing about nowadays in a very tech savvy era, good data, if you can get very good data source, it will provide you good business decision or direction, right? So this operator here, they really know who and how to target and design menu meal plans according to suit their diet needs, all right? Giving you an example, look at all the headers. Curious consumer, waking up 5 a.m. gym goers, working mom and dads, all right? So like example, expecting moms, will require more nutrition dishes. Yet it's very hard for them to cook it, or even the spouse may not know how to cook it. So these are one of the target audience, or like the gym goers, right? They will definitely need more carbs, all right? They are always building up muscles, all right, during the workout. So this operator decided to throw in free workout pass, right? Free access workout pass for every 7 meals plan purchase, right? So this is something to incentivize and also to draw them in. So they really know how to target and who to target, right? So just to share, benefit of this type of meal plans model, basically increase per transaction value, right? And for owners, it means improve cash flow, right? It also reduce the number of delivery needed. One time you deliver down is only good for 7 days. And also it will help to reducing transportation costs, manpower, things like that. And also ingredients ordering is more predictable, all right? So as owner or as chef, once there's a subscription plan, we roughly know, how much to order. We plan ahead, and it eliminates waste from the food, right? So just some key notes again on delivery menu and recipe design. If you were to do this kind of model, remember to provide direction. If you direction on how to heat up, how to cook it, things like that. Also adjust the recipe accordingly. They are not professional chefs; they are home cooks. Take note of their home setup. They probably don't have a combi oven. They don't have a thermocirculator. They have very basic setup. So think about it. You can look at bottom right. I want to bring your attention to bottom right. The little top post-it note, right? So this is something that I learned, and I saw it from China. It's very common in China. A little customized greetings or cooking tips will really help and try to meaning to increase the missing human touch, right? So now you're ordering everything from app. There's no one to talk to. So these little greeting cards will give you that missing human touch. All right. So hope that sharing helps. Yep.
Okay. So I will skip the next slide because we talked about taking advantage of occasions like what you've mentioned previously, Chef Eric. So I'll move on to an example in the Philippines. I think we have lost Ken, but
no, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Ken. Hello. So here's an example of so deliveries, we must not, so they say we must not lose the brand quality and essence of what your restaurant is all about. So these are like a couple of good examples, Chef Ken.
Yeah, despite limited operations, celebrations here in the Philippines are still so big. Like restaurants, they just have to make sure that they still deliver the same brand of quality and essence. It's reflected really in the way the food is packaged, for one, the clear and easy to follow instructions, and even making sure that every component and each component of the meal is complete. That's kind of
Right.
amazing. What else? Infomercials are never lacking, especially in communicating the safety standards, and protocols being followed in preparing the dishes and making sure it's delivered to your doorstep in the same way.
Okay.
But what? There's one interesting thing that's actually happening now, which I really like. It's a delivery mode that's kind of probably unique to us. It's called pasabay, or loosely
Oh,
translated,
okay.
please buy
Okay.
for me. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Or where a person will announce in a group chat, usually people living within one area or community, that she will be going to some restaurants to buy food or pastries, and then anyone who's interested to order anything from those restaurants or places nearby can just send him the list, and then they can all he has to do is just pick it up. So the buyer just then
Yeah.
charges us amount. It's actually that's
It's very uniquely Filipino.
yeah, bayanihan, everyone helps out each
Yes.
other. And I think that's very important now.
Okay, so I just want to insert another example from Hong Kong. So I'm talking about brand essence. This is a really good example. So one of the early examples of keeping true to your signature is the Four Seasons in Hong Kong. So they're always known for their afternoon tea. And in this picture, you can see that they cleverly had a takeout tea stand made, complete with a dome cover, which did very well during Mother's Day. And they received a lot of media coverage for this. And even though, dining is already allowed back in Hong Kong, this would surely be a great, additional revenue channel for them, since it's quite hard to get a reservation at the Four Seasons just for afternoon tea. So yeah, so this was shared by Chef Ringo from Hong Kong, who's executive pastry chef at the Four Seasons Hotel. So Chef Ken, I'll just skip this because you have mentioned already pasabay,
Yeah.
which is a very uniquely Filipino. So now we move on to Australia. So Chef Andrew, there was a lot of clamor for big delivery providers, without mentioning their names, to slash down, their commission rates, which they refuse to. So in Dubai, chat food, which is a commission-free ordering platform, became even more popular. And you mentioned there's quite a few examples in Australia, and they even went beyond, the delivery service. Chef Andrew?
Yeah, for sure, Joanne. And there's plenty of operators who are friends of mine who love those big, big groups we're talking about, the Ubers and Menulog and those type of things. So it depends on what operation you have. There's nothing wrong with them, but they do take such a high percentage of commission, so between 30-35%. So it works for some it doesn't. So there's these ones that have popped up, and Bopple's sort of the main one. It's a point of sort of sales operating system that has sort of come up with a really low commission rate, where you can either use delivery drivers themselves, or you can pivot your business and run the delivery system yourself. So maybe by re-employing waitresses or chefs who have lost their job because of the COVID, and redeploy them drivers themselves. So Bopple's a point of sale app that sort of pivoted their business and to offer this sort of concept, and also Hungry as well. So there's quite a few of these that have popped up, and they're sort of helping out the hospital market. So it's been good to see, and it's sort of a differing sort of pressure on those big guys to sort of lower their commission margins, although it hasn't quite happened yet.
Right. So I just want to share another example about, an effort to support other restaurants. So Black Sheep Restaurant Group, which they are the ones who generously shared their COVID-19 playbook across the world. And so they went a step further. So since they operate many concepts under their brand, they have their own delivery system called Go Delivery. So what they did was they offered 10 slots, to other restaurants to take part of this. And the only catch is that these restaurants have to be close to one of their branches, which makes perfect sense, logistically. So it's really nice, to see restaurants helping out each other. And this may work or duplicated in areas wherein, there's a cluster of smaller restaurants. Okay, so just to summarize our second topic, which is delivery. So number one is to really highlight safety measures taken, which we will talk about more in the next topic. And second is, of course, if you're not doing this already, you have to find out how to make, payment contactless. And the third is to explore forms, again, to expand our reach and take advantage of the delivery systems. And fourth is our family group dining options. If you need to take advantage of every dining occasion, if it's a day to celebrate, people will surely want, so go extra in order more food. Okay, so the next topic is something I think it's very, very, important for us to, spend time on, because all of us across all our countries, we are at the reopening stage. And when we met with our colleagues in China, we have a lot of calls, and most of them are always talking about how the comms and advertising were all geared towards to increasing consumer confidence, to bring them back out and dine again. We know the communities are excited to support, F&B. However, they are still very cautious. And so the question now lies on how do we make them feel safe? And Chef Andrew, this was a study in Australia by the Fort. Could you kindly take us through this?
Yeah, for sure. So I think in Australia, we've had, quite a lot of pubs and clubs and casual dining scenes open up already, but not everyone has sort of rushed back straight away. So there is sort of a bit of mental health around it about people aren't sort of, confident to go back out yet. So it's really, really important that, health and safety and venues sort of are shown to use hand sanitizer. In Australia, it's compulsory to take your names, address and phone numbers down when you visit a place. So I think just looking at these statistics, which you can all see on the screen, don't be too worried about them. I think in a year, I honestly believe we'll be back to normal in terms of hospitality and people visiting. You really do need to reassure them in terms of health and safety, in terms of being seen to wipe down between sittings. But I think the main thing is to call out as well is a great sort of group in Australia called Milky Lane. Don't go up and sort of start yelling and screaming and go on social media to call out any problems. Go and speak to the operator. This is new for everyone in hospitality and food service. Everyone's learning. So make sure if you are dining out, go and speak to any issues. But, it really needs to happen like digital menus. So, people aren't sort of touching those high touch points. So maybe it might be a blackboard special where you can go up and take a photo. So businesses need to operate differently as opposed to what they were doing before. So health and safety is certainly very important when trying to get diners back into the restaurants and
right. So Chef Eric, could you please take us quickly through what you see in Singapore? Okay, just a reminder for everyone that we have a little bit of time left, so we want to squeeze through what we can. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
So, bringing back the confidence, right? What I want to highlight here is not just focusing on your diner safety. Okay, bear in mind that you need your fellow employees, right? So keep that in mind. How do you protect them as well? Considering setting up zones, the green zone, the red zone. Do not mix your back of the house with the front of the house staff. In case there's an infection, you still can run your operation. All right. So this is something to bear in mind. In early reopening stage, just take note. Visualize food safety. All right. Visualize. I mentioned here. Visualize. Is how you do it to win the diners' trust. All right. We are all very familiar with temperature scanning, self-monitoring app. I should not talk about it. What else is critical here? Think about branded face masks, right? Whether you can have it endorsed by food service professional or healthcare department, this is helpful as well. When I mentioned earlier on, visualize, do consider social media. Share with them, share with your followers. What measures are you doing? Are you doing sanitizing? Are you keeping the shields up? They need to be informed, and to win them back. All right. Right. Next is calories. All right. Have it individually packed will help as well, or you can invest in the ultraviolet cabinet that you do the disinfection. Okay. Next is about crowd control. the last thing to happen is you get too crowded and there is an infection. That's something that we want to avoid. Consider food pager where guests can pick up their food in a common area, things like that. Next will be consistency and transparency. All right, so every restaurant needs to identify their gaps. I don't believe everyone is 100% doing well. It can be better, right? So if you find that there's any way, any training need to be given to your staff, let them know, especially with all the new digital tools that you have deployed. Make sure they are well versed in that as well. Visible hand washing, routine cleaning, all these between shift should be made known to the diners as well. All right. So again, bring it to social media, dial it up. It is helpful. All right. So another thing is about consistent behavior in your staff, right? From ordering to the last mile delivery. I understand that with the reopening, everyone is pretty stressed. The diners are stressed. The staff are stressed as well. So try to everyone just be friendly, be professional. Things can work out. All right. So if you are still if you are doing a delivery service, have a little note there, like a clear indicator of handlers, their food, their temperature recording as well, and also tamper-proof sticker is also welcome. If you are running both dining and takeaway operation, right? Maybe you want to consider virtual queue system, all right? So prevent people from crowding in front of your store for dining. Like I think Joe has mentioned, curbside or drive-through pickup. If you have a takeaway operation running, it's also helpful. All right. So this is just some sharing from my end.
Okay. So Chef Ken.
Yeah, here. Okay, well, in the end, I think it's very important. Health is the general focus of everyone. So it's very important to highlight the freshness of the ingredients used, whether delivered food or dine-in. So restaurants have opened, but with limited capacity. From 30 to 50%, depending on the size of the restaurant. So they're strictly implementing social distancing. Regular disinfection and sanitation of high touch points, aside from the required personal protective equipment, okay, of all their employees are regular, and of course the health checkups are also being implemented always. No? So customers are also
basically, yeah. So basically, it's just showing people what you've been doing. I think that's one important thing that a lot of restaurants should do, like all restaurants should do.
Yeah. Even to the point of making sure that there's the contact details have to be given. If there's a possible contact tracing that should need, if the need arises. So in the end, the protocols really these are not new to our industry. We're all familiar with the HACCP and HACCP procedures, wearing protective equipment, etc. But we have to understand this is
going extra. Yeah,
you have to go the extra mile. Not only for people who patronize your restaurant, your staff, but responsible. Being a responsible member of your community. So I guess in the end, it's not a choice. It's a must. So you just have to do all these things.
So I'll skip this because you have covered this already about additional information. So just sharing with you a slide on some basic new essentials. So we've seen restaurants offering bags, zip bags, to put your mask inside them while you dine in. People going an extra mile by restaurants going an extra mile by telling you by delivery that the body temperature of the person who delivered, packed your food has been checked, etc. And restaurants, coming up with glasses. We've seen a lot of these examples from Hong Kong, China, Korea, and Taiwan, who are way ahead of us when it comes to, reopening. So just to summarize, increasing diners' confidence, I think this is really important for us right now because we are all at the reopening stage once again, is to number one, be really transparent and be honest with your communications, and be sure to use credible sources. And number two, I think it's really very important because we've seen a lot of complaints, being on social media that if you set up a standard, like what Eric, you've mentioned, be sure to follow it because nothing annoys a customer more than, seeing somebody not wearing a mask, especially if he or she is a staff member. and always be updated with the latest guidelines and studies, reduce touch points, and ensure that everything is really packed and sealed properly. I know it's, extra work, but, these are the things like what you said, Chef Ken, this is a new normal that we need to do, in order to bring customers back. So lastly, of course, it's something that's quite sensitive to talk about, but there's no quick solutions when it comes to this. We've heard a lot of people being laid off, losing their jobs. And what makes it even harder is that we don't know up to when we are going to be like this. And Chef Andrew, I know Australia is very proactive, very vocal about supporting people working in the industry. And this article that came out was really, really powerful. A strong reminder for the public, dining public, how they should support people in the industry. Chef Andrew.
Yeah, 100%. I think, it's certainly very important to get out there as much as you can and support the hospitality industry. So even if it's takeaway delivery, please, or dine in, please get out there and support the food service industry if you're in Australia and New Zealand. But unfortunately, what we've seen is people make a lot of bookings and not turn up. So, important thing is sort of happening now is, people taking credit card deposits because unfortunately people aren't turning up. So imagine if you can only sort of fit 20 or 50 people in your restaurant and half of them are turning up. So, there's a big sort of push in Australia to support hospitality through some initiatives that Unilever have actually done, which is called Eat Alone Together, a great sort of concept that we've done in Australia. But, be on time and be human, I think is the point. It's, let's respect everyone, the staff as well. It's a learning experience for everyone. So let's not sort of yell and scream. Let's just treat everyone with respect. Out there to have a nice cold beer at the pub and a nice sort of schnitzel or a
right.
Thanks.
And Chef Ken, amidst the controversies regarding the lack of national support from the Philippine government, the private sector has really stepped up a lot, despite the loss of income that they themselves are experiencing. Can you talk about this and how it somehow made F&B workers feel about their contributions, to these initiatives, to be part of them? Ken, have we lost you?
Hello, sorry. Joy, yeah, it cut there.
Hello?
Yeah, Joy, okay, sorry, yeah. So
we're talking about initiatives like making your staff involved in public service, just for them to kind of feel good about themselves and despite the lack of work or being laid off with work, but being involved in a cause, could somehow, make them feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, in the end, we have, in the Philippines, we're all resilient people and like healing as one, working as one, bayanihan, we call it, to heal as one and buy local, for example, helping farmers to certain extents. And, being the frontliners, I think this is really something that the Filipinos are, equipped with, and this comes to show that, in times like these, we just have to really work together. And, with the government, without the government, I think in the end, we are, one, we are one country, we're one people, and it just, in everything that we do. And then I hope it stays the same, and I know it will. So yeah, let's go.
Okay. And Chef Eric, Singapore is known to have a very close-knit chef community. Please tell us about their initiatives to support F&B people who are affected by this pandemic.
Yeah, I think you can read from news that lots of people are affected by this COVID. Over here, example is there's great initiative where restaurant chefs teaming up to create sumptuous meal, bento boxes for the migrants in this difficult time. I think on top of cooking together, chefs who lost their job during COVID are welcome as well. They are welcome to cook together. And they may find a potential employee, through this journey. So it's like a networking and cooking together. Is good for the well-being for everyone. pay.
Yeah.
Other than cooking together, I think there's also a lot of campaigns you can see that support local business has emerged to tie them through the storm. I think there's a question about hawkers. Not only to restaurant, support local goes a long way. Any local business, whether it's big or small, as Singaporeans, we do our part. We try to support them. All right. And I think it's really heartwarming to see so much initiative born, during this COVID. And I strongly believe all this will carry on, and carry on even after COVID. It will last. All right. So it's really, really heartwarming to see that.
I really love it. I mean, aside from the medical frontliners, I think that this pandemic has really, made the F&B industry put its best foot forward. There's a lot of the news going on around how people, despite losing their jobs, they're still helping others, which is, really, really cool to see. So I know there's no quick solution for this. It's really hard to motivate staff if you hear about all these furloughs and layoffs. So just some small steps that you can do, to help motivate staff. So first is really to stay connected and be accessible. Sometimes, people just want to talk out their anxieties, right? I've heard you talking about this, Andrew, during your webinar with Luke in Australia. And second is to take advantage of trainings. I know it's, people might feel down, but this is like we're always busy when, things are normal. So now is like the perfect time to learn something new. And, speaking on behalf of Unilever chefs, we've learned new skills like, photography, editing, virtual skills. We're all forced, to learn something new. And it's a perfect time to do that. And you can collaborate with suppliers to provide you with virtual trainings, if it's not available online. So the fourth point is, it sounds really simple, but it has a great impact, physical activity. So if you don't exercise, definitely you'll feel down. And so it's really great, if you're working with a team, to encourage like some sort of individual or team challenges. And there's a lot of free ones available on YouTube or in social media. And fifth is the example in the Philippines is encourage them to help, and Singapore is to help out the costs. We have read stories where chefs and cooks who have lost their jobs, they would immediately go to soup kitchens, help out, cook meals for those who are in need. Some are helping by sewing PPEs. Some are doing tutoring because there's a lot of distance learning going on. And some, like in Australia, they've switched jobs to being delivery people, for temporarily. So it's something that we can, encourage our teams to do. So just like to remind everyone that we since March, the lockdown, we have worked on a lot of content online. So kindly visit ufs.com. We have worked on a lot of articles, to help you through this period. And we're also working on new ones because we are, like I've said, at the reopening stage. And so now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we're going to open the floor for questions. So let me just, okay, let me just read this first question. So with the present new normal, will the food operators continue this new way of serving customers? Okay, I think that's the first question. How is the totality? Maybe Andrew, can you answer that? So the first question is, will the food operators continue this new way of serving customers? I think because Australia is a little bit ahead of us. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think the short answer is yes. I think, people aren't rushing back into venues at the moment. So most venues, I believe, are going to have to offer that sort of takeaway as well. And obviously with all the 4 metre square restrictions still in place, you're going to have to abide by all the social distancing and that. So to have less people in the venue, you still need a second sort of income stream. So certainly restaurants will be looking to offer those signature dishes as takeaway delivery, meal kits and that type of thing. So I certainly think for a long time in the future, we'll be seeing the sort of same things that we're seeing at the moment in food service.
So I think the next question is something for Singapore. Somebody was asking, how much are the hawkers affected during the pandemic, especially in Southeast Asia, as consumers are also cash strapped, cautious, and restaurants will be less concerned. So basically, he's asking, how are the hawkers? How are the hawkers surviving?
So for the hawkers, again, I think they are doing okay. They tend to lose out on the digital front. All right. So Unilever Singapore and Malaysia, we actually had some initiative about supporting locals. We got them to get them to onboard them on Carousel, where they can have some publicity, right? So comparing to onboarding to the big boys, where they charge a high commission, this is totally free. So again, we do consider about all these hawkers, right? So, but if you think about it, in terms of the investment, right? Running a restaurant versus a hawker, restaurant tend to suffer more because the rental are high, everything is high, they got more manpower to feed, right? So hawkers, I would say they are adapting well, so they should be able to tie through, right?
Right. So the next question is it advisable to stick to a standardized menu, or is there a need to update our menu monthly or seasonally during these difficult times? Ken, you want to take this question?
Yeah, sure. Well, definitely, in the end, it's a business we're running. So you have to consider that, making a shorter menu, a smaller menu, that really matters. For example, sustainability, your produce could be easily, cheaper produce that you could use. Try to fix some menu that would really work for you, to cope up with the costs. In the end, it's not the end of the world. You could still make a lot of good dishes, create, if you have to do it every week, change a menu every week, so be it, but try to keep it simple, go back to the roots, try cooking something more healthy, sustainable, that would definitely on your costs, less is more, so the less of your inventory, better for you, so try to, make a smart menu.
Okay, thank you, Ken. So this next question, perhaps Andrew, you can take this. So as a chef in the kitchen department, what disruptive innovations have been implemented? Any thoughts?
That's a difficult question. So what disruptive...
Sorry, I threw you a difficult question.
Hopefully that's not BSD asking.
No.
Well, I think a lot of it is health and safety. So in Australia, we've sort of opened up, and there's a lot of restrictions around sort of the 4 square meter rule, how many people are allowed in each venue. So you've really got to be having an extra person, maybe front of house, monitoring how many people are coming in, how many people are going out. You've got to wipe down those high touch points and that. So I think probably from a health and safety point of view, in terms of this is something that we've never really seen in food service. So you're going to have that waiter or that, redeployed as someone who's cleaning. Those high touch points, people sanitizing, people using restrooms or bathrooms, making sure they're washing their hands and everything's regularly clean. So I think this is something that we haven't really seen. And then also monitoring the crowds, I think, as well. So just because the 4 square meter inside, you don't want sort of, 25 people lining up, in close proximity outside. So managing crowd control and managing health and safety, I think, is a really important thing to do, and also a big thing to do as well. So.
Yeah, I think everything about this pandemic has caused so many disruptions, we can't even begin. So for the next question, something from the Philippines. So Chef Ken, I think you take this. So for the Philippines, do you think carinderias, or what we call local eating trade, will bloom due to affordability?
Yeah, I'm a very optimistic guy, and I think now an opportunity is created for everyone, so everyone could make it big, even the smallest of the small, like carinderias, for example. Yes, definitely, people have to eat, and especially in provinces like the Philippines, so divided, these eateries are still very, very popular. So yes, they will thrive, and I'm pretty sure they will still really make a really good mark, with profit, and an opportunity for everyone.
I think just the concern here would be food safety, and like what we mentioned earlier, now more than ever, regardless of what kind of operations you are, food safety is something that's non-negotiable. And there's like a huge, a huge number of people doing food business from their homes, and that was a huge question mark, right? Like people are asking, how safe, is the food being delivered to me? I want to support, but you have to make sure that, I'm not going to get a tummy ache after.
That is true.
So, yeah. So for the last question, Eric, perhaps you can take us through this. Can you share which disruptive innovation have been brought about by COVID-19?
I can take it, no worries. Okay, I think it's not really an innovation, but because of COVID, as I mentioned, having your staff, you got to split up your staff. They are running on different shifts. In the past, probably you only have 2 shifts. Now you may need to consider extra shift because you don't want them to mix around. Okay, you may have an early shift or midnight shift to do the mise en place, to do the production shift. All right, so this is something different because of COVID. Is implemented for the safety of everyone. In terms of menu-wise, in the past you may do things to cook fresh. Right, so now you need to re-engineer your dish selection, things that you can pre-do, you can pre-stew or braise, just do minimal finishing when there's a service or there's a pickup. So this is something pretty disruptive for kitchen operation brought by COVID-19, but I think it's still manageable for a chef perspective. I hope I can answer the question.
Okay, I think we need to take this question because this is something that's really important to all of us. Chef Andrew, you've done a webinar on mental health. I think you can take this question. So aftermath of this pandemic, mental health will surely sprout from your staff. So as a chef, how would you deal with it?
Yeah, look, mental health is a really important thing. And I think all of us sort of sit here, we've got a job. So, we're one of the lucky ones. It's as simple as that. So I certainly get probably a lot of people are dying in. They probably lost their jobs. So, I feel for you guys and understand that. But I think, the fact is talking. Talking is the biggest thing. And I think chefs, especially in Australia, we can be sort of quite closed shop and, we're tough and manly. But it's about getting your team together, speaking to them, understanding their issues as well, giving them appropriate time off, not overworking them, and so we can all sort of overwork quite a bit. But essentially, the main thing is communication and speaking to each other and really understanding what's going on, because mental health is a difficult thing. And I think everyone's sort of looking forward to getting back to business, getting back to normal, getting back in their kitchen. But for a lot of us who have maybe lost their job or aren't in the kitchen, it can be a really difficult time. So please speak out, and there's plenty of organisations across the world that you can call into or text or WhatsApp or WeChat or that type of thing to get help. So that's my best tip, is just reach out and let people know how you're feeling. Very important thing.
Yeah, that's true. Perhaps we can take one last question, and I think this is relevant to all of us. It's the use of disposable plates and utensils. It's a mandate from the government. So, and I'm sure a lot of environmental groups are a little bit annoyed that there's going to be a lot of plastic waste because of this mandate. What's your opinion in regards to this? I know it's important. It's something that's related to our safety. So what's your opinion about, being environmentally sustainable despite, the use of so much disposables nowadays? Chef Eric, would you want to take this?
I think for the initial stage, the early reopening, this is inevitable. I think it's a transition. I think the question, the statement here about disposable is not only disposable, it's about seal pack, all right? Diners actually is very wary on what they are using, right? So imagine you have a disposable, but it's not sealed. Contamination can happen as well. So if you can afford disposable seal pack, go for it. If not, and for the environment-friendly, sustainable thing, you may want to consider disinfect ultraviolet cabinet. It's very common in China. You can sanitize all the bowls and make sure that when the diners sit down, you serve the cutleries to them. All right, so it's a safety measure and also visualize safety approach for the diners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Andrew, any thoughts of this disposable issue? I
Yeah,
know
look,
it's a huge deal in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I know from years ago that there is a sort of environmentally friendly cutlery that's biodegradable as well. So it might cost a tiny bit more. I'd sort of recommend that. In Australia, we're a bit lucky. If you've got sort of a commercial dishwasher, you're allowed to use metal cutlery. So we are sort of lucky in terms of that sense. But we are going to see, unfortunately, that sort of, we went away from that portion control thing. We went away from those plastic straws and all that. And unfortunately, due to COVID, I guess health and safety is more important. So we are going to see a lot of these plastics sort of come back in the meantime. But I guess it is sort of to protect people from COVID. So it might sort of have to be a small sort of speed bump. And then hopefully once this clears, we can get back to normal and using those sort of cutlery and crockery. That's sort of much better for the environment.
Okay. Yeah. Chef Ken?
Yeah. Well,
like
now,
a huge concern.
A huge concern, definitely. But now with delivery now in the Philippines, they use a lot of the starch-based takeaway packs, no? So that actually really helps. Although I've seen before in India, they're actually using leaves and pressing it with a starch base, no? And you could use basically leaves to create packages, So I guess with the government, if we need a lot of support from the government, to produce this type of sustainability when it comes to packaging. So yeah, how I wish everything was simpler. But it's a means that we have to follow, and we have to make sure health is more important. So, but in the end, making sure that we are very responsible for our environment. And that's what we should be really doing. No, yeah.
Right. So we have gone a little bit over time, 15 minutes to be exact, and there are still a few more questions left, but I just want to say thank you so much to every one of you. Really thankful, especially all the work that you've put in, digging out all these examples to, making sure that we provide a lot of substance for this webinar. So before I close, any last words? We can start with you, Chef Andrew.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and thanks, Joanne, for hosting it. So yeah, and best of luck to everyone reopening. We're all in this together. So jump on the ufs.com. You can reach out to anyone in any country, and we're here. So please reach out.
Eric.
Yeah, I think I'm very happy to see a lot of familiar faces from the audience. I think you have our numbers. You have our chat bot on Facebook. If you need any help, we'll be there supporting you. Just give us a ring and give us a note. We are more than happy to support you.
Chef Ken.
Thank you, John. For inviting me.
Thank you.
Learned a lot. I'm so honored, to be part of this discussion tonight. So everyone, we just have to stick together, and we are here. Unilever is here to help you out and make sure everything will be okay. We're in it together. Okay, so Thanks a lot. Yeah, I'd like to say hi to my colleagues in the Philippines.
Yes, hi to Team Singapore as well, and Anthony of Australia, and Yeti. So thank you guys. We apologize for not being able to answer all of your questions. We do encourage you to please check us out on ufs.com. And if you have a burning question, you can please follow us on our social media pages. We're all very active on Instagram, on Facebook. And you can just hit us a message and we can answer your questions directly. So I just want to say that there is a survey form at the end of, there's a link somewhere there. And please answer the survey form so we know what to talk about the next time. And and so I just want to say thank you once again. Good night to everyone. And thank you, chefs. I hope this won't be the last time, for us speaking together like this. So thank you very much. And good night.